The footage you're watching has been stored at the home of tonight's honoree, Dr. Elias T. Saadi, for 35 years. With it was a stash of documents, one of them a letter dated June 2, 1978. It reads as follows: My brother Elias, free Lebanon shall not remain a dream with your precious help, and we shall spare no sacrifice to reach our goal. Your unconditional and unlimited support is very precious to us. Our aim is one Lebanon for all Lebanese. All intruders must be thrown out in order to save our country from destruction. It is true, some of you have only known Lebanon through the eyes of your fathers and mothers, but you have shown and proved even more patriotism than many people living here with us. With you on our side, nothing will stand in our way. Long live Lebanon. Bashir Gemayel. How does this happen? How does a man born and raised in the USA find himself placing a wreath at a memorial for heroes of a distant war? Why would such a man put himself on the front lines of such a conflict? How does a cardiologist living a safe and affluent life in America form such bonds with nationalistic leaders in a faraway land?
We are trying to set up something new, something clean, something pure, and all my friends who are sitting here tonight with you are people who are responsible with me on the new political leadership. Once again, I welcome Dr. Saadi.
The answers lie at this house of stone in Beji, Lebanon, the home of Eli's grandfather Salim and grandmother Genevieve. 100 years ago, while living in this house, Genevieve fell ill with a mysterious disease. Legend has it that Salim took her to the best physicians in Byblos, and then to the best in Beirut, and then to the best in Damascus, but no one could cure her. She died at 27, leaving 3 small children, among them Tawfiq Saadi, who immigrated to the USA a few years later. He settled in Youngstown, Ohio, married Victoria Hayek, also raised in Beji, and had a single child, Elias, who weighed 13 pounds at birth on August 28, 1932. Considering that Genevieve descended from the family of the 19th century Lebanese hero Yusuf Karam, nationalism was surely in Eli's blood, but that would have to wait. After the trauma they experienced in Lebanon, what the Saadi family required was not a political leader, but a doctor, and Tawfiq and Victoria were determined that they would have one. When Eli entered school, he seemed to have no comprehension whatsoever of what was going on around him. He uttered not a single word in school for many weeks, which caused his teachers to conclude that Eli was learning disabled, until they realized what the problem was. Even though he was born in America, Eli did not speak a single word of English. The language spoken at home was exclusively Lebanese. Once Eli learned English, he excelled in his education. During his high school years, Eli developed his lifelong interest in automobiles. What he wanted more than anything else was to be an auto mechanic. Although his parents were determined he become a doctor, his mechanical interests were to play a significant role in his career just a few years later. After attending Youngstown College, he was accepted to Georgetown University School of Medicine. When he graduated in 1957, Victoria and Tawfiq simply could not contain their pride. He returned to Youngstown for his residency. Then he trained in cardiology at the Cleveland Clinic. Eli's mechanical interests made him an innovator in the field of cardiology. He built his own defibrillator and used it in an emergency situation to save a friend's life. It was the first known instance of defibrillation in the state of Ohio. 50 years after her death, Genevieve's grandson had accomplished what those doctors in Byblos, Beirut, and Damascus could not. Newspapers and television stations began reporting that a doctor in Youngstown, Ohio had discovered a way to bring men back to life. People were simply astonished. He developed an almost mythical reputation as a miracle worker, which grew exponentially over time as he played a role in developing virtually every technique used by cardiologists to save lives today, including CPR, catheterization, angioplasty, bypass surgery, and more. Throughout his entire career, he refused to distinguish between patients with an ability to pay for medical care and those without.
A wide range of services are provided, from evaluation and diagnosis to rehabilitation and prevention counseling. An open-door policy means no one will be turned away regardless of financial means.
Anyone can walk in and ask for an appointment, and we will be very happy to do our usual evaluations and recommendations.
Who will be serviced?
We're talking about two major categories: those who have disease, who require more knowledge about their disease and information on an ongoing basis in order to lessen the effects and ravages of the disease, and in some cases you may be able to cause some regression in the disease. The other major category that we will address are the people who have no cardiac disease and are concerned about preventing it, and there are very definite things that can be done on an ongoing basis to prevent cardiovascular disease.
Dr. Saadi had treated an estimated 40,000 patients and performed more than 15,000 heart procedures. The number of lives saved and to be saved by him and by the methods he pioneered is incalculable. In the middle of his career, fate raised the stakes on Dr. Saadi. When Lebanon came under assault in 1974, he kicked into action. He had already led the construction of a new Maronite church and a national shrine in Youngstown, and had served as president of the National Apostolate of Maronites. But what was desperately needed was for Lebanese Americans to exert real political influence in the United States. So he founded the American-Lebanese League, which quickly grew from an office in the Saadi family home into a Washington powerhouse. The ALL had tremendous success in bringing Lebanon's cause to the highest levels of world power. In 1978, President Jimmy Carter invited Dr. Saadi and the ALL to join him in planting a cedar tree of Lebanon in the White House Rose Garden.
In the Bible, the cedars of Lebanon are mentioned more than 60 times. Since 1943, Lebanon, as an independent nation, has been a good exemplification for democracy and the finest aspects of that form of government which we share.
Let it be a constant remembrance of the traditional ties between the United States and Lebanon. And let it be a living memorial that righteousness and justice in the pursuit of human rights are indeed enduring virtues. Today, Mr. President, the Lebanese people are struggling to preserve their democracy and their freedom and retain a society of genuine pluralism. We look to you, Mr. President, for continued leadership for a stable Lebanon, which we believe is the key to Middle East peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Toby, you, Mary Rose, and Jim.
The ALL undertook major initiatives for the security of an independent, democratic Lebanon. The ALL rallied American support behind the candidacy of Bashir Gemayel for president of Lebanon. As Bashir himself put it, "Last year when we came to the U.S., we went to the State Department. No one wanted to talk to us, so we left and went around the corner and bought an ice cream cone. This year, they sent a nuclear submarine for me." Dr. Saadi has been a driving force behind every significant Lebanese American political and humanitarian organization since 1975. In 1986, the ambassador of Lebanon traveled to Youngstown to award Dr. Saadi the National Order of the Cedar. He founded the International Maronite Foundation and presided over several international conferences at which Maronite leaders from around the world came together to demand liberation. He is a relied-upon resource in Washington and has testified before Congress on several occasions. In 2002, he testified before the Subcommittee on International Relations in favor of the Syrian Accountability Act.
I enter into the record a list of organizations that support my position, 14 in all. My name is Elias Saadi of Youngstown, Ohio. I have come here as an American citizen of Lebanese descent to explain my view and that of the vast majority of Lebanese Americans that this bill is good for America. During one visit to Lebanon, among many I have made, during the heat of the war, I was informed by the intelligence services of the anti-Syrian resistance that I should not travel to Syrian-controlled areas of Lebanon. I was told that my activities in support of a free and democratic Lebanon had earned me a spot on the Syrian enemies list. In testifying and speaking the truth today, I am certain that I will again find myself on that list, Mr. Chairman. Thus, for me, at age 70, probably means that I will never see my father's home in Lebanon again. God bless America.
But he would see his father's home again. The bill became law. A man who made a career of resuscitating men and women helped towards resuscitating a nation. Dr. Elias Saadi's dedication to his profession, nor his love of his heritage, can compete with his first passion. His devotion to Peggy, his wife, partner of 54 years, their 6 children, and their grandchildren. Dr. Saadi served a profession dedicated to saving lives, served his country by living its values and helping thousands of others, served his heritage by keeping focus on a free and sovereign Lebanon. Dr. Saadi's legacy is a tribute to the United States and living up to his full potential. His legacy is in the service of others.